Hey girlfriend, this is Jan James. Welcome to the Hope After Breast Cancer podcast, where women who have endured breast cancer learn to have fulfillment over frustration, clarity over confusion, and faith over fear. We tackle the issues that many of our sisters face after a breast cancer diagnosis, from brain fog to fear of recurrence, from menopause to sex after breast cancer. This is the place to learn how to have hope after breast cancer. So strap yourself in. Welcome to the Hope After Breast Cancer podcast.
All right. Hi, everyone. Jan James.
Traci Owen.
Your fearless leader, and the beautiful Traci Owen, sexuality counselor out of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Hello, my dear. Glad you're here. So,
Always glad to be here.
We were just talking, girls. I'm going to tell you, we got some good juice for you today. First thing, I want to just get this out of the way. For our podcast audience, we are currently broadcasting live into our private Facebook support group called Sex After Breast Cancer. All y'all can join that. Women only, please, but we have, we'll talk about the men in a minute. So please, if you're not in that group, come on. I just want to say to the girls in the sex group, as we call it, the Sex After Breast Cancer group. That sounds bad, doesn't it? The sex group.
No, I like it.
You asked for it, you got it. Lori Ledley is doing yoga on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Pacific, which would mean what? Noon Eastern. And it's on replay and it's in the guides. So she does an hour of yoga, gentle and relaxation yoga. She even did chair yoga last week. So I'll tell you, if you're not a yogi person, you don't need to be. It's okay. So just get in there and start. Please write to us and tell us that you're watching the replay. That's really important. I did put a video into the group today too about my new healthcare opportunity, which is so cool. We just joined a Christian healthcare co-op that is saving us literally over $1,000 a month. From our insurance. Wow. And so I just wanted to put it in there. You would guess that a co-op would say no on people with cancer, but guess what? They are fine with it. And I can always take questions from you in PM or by email, so that's cool. We would like to talk to you about the big news of the week. Next week, next Thursday, August 25th, is our first couples edition of Sex After Breast Cancer Live. And so Traci and I were just talking about it. Man, we are excited about this, right, Trace?
One of my favorite things.
I mean, well, it's what you do all day, right?
It's what I do.
It's my
jam.
Do. It's your thing. So tell our girls what is your vision for that? Because they're bringing their men, their partners, their husbands, and what should they tell their man to get them to come along for the ride?
Well, so I was thinking, right, and this is always just a thought coming out my mouth. So there you go. I was thinking something like the conversation we should have had, because I feel like the conversation with our mates about the changes that are going to happen in our marriage, that, just role responsibilities change, how we do things, everything gets touched by it. And what if we talk to folks up front? I was reading today an article that talked about women with cancer or other significant chronic health issues are 6 times more likely to be divorced from their marriage within a year.
And we've seen that in the group. I mean, it just is so heartbreaking. Yeah.
If we so the conversation we should have had, it is my vision as I've been building program in oncology centers, that we need to start these conversations up front and just phase them in little bits. So I was kind of thinking for our first one, so that we all feel like we're starting fresh. So the guys don't feel like they're stepping into something that's already been, that we step into it from the place of, man, the conversation that was really important that maybe we did or did not get to have. You guys let me know, or let Jan know if that's a direction.
Or on the video. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, so we just really want to help equip and empower you as a couple
Yes.
to open up communication, learn physiologically what's happening with your body, both of you, which is what you guys have been doing over the last few weeks, but now your partners need to learn, right?
Right. Now we need to share that information, right? We got to
I would
share it.
I would tell you guys that it is a real benefit for Greg James, my husband, to be my producer of video, because he he is seeing all kinds of stuff from all
Hi,
of
Greg.
our experts. I know, right? From all of our experts.
Me again.
They come in and go, now, so-and-so talked about this and such. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, he's almost forced to learn some of the lingo and, all the things. So anyway, yeah, so I'll have to get him to come next week too, or he'll just watch from a distance, I would guess. And you know what? It's great. We obviously have the chat open when we're doing these live. And so you guys can ask questions, but it may be uncomfortable for you to say to your man, hey, do you have any questions that you want them to answer? But if he does, by all means, bring them. Okay.
Please.
I'll put up a little thread where you can put them down there. You'll put down the questions from the men, but we'll be glad to tackle those. And nothing is weird. Nothing is off limits. We're doing the thing. So
we're all in. We're all in.
We all are. Yeah, it's really fun. So it's really exciting that we've been watching the numbers of you that have been watching the videos, and it's super exciting for us to see how many of you are engaging and learning along the way. And I have to tell you guys, I'm just talking, I'm having a little girlfriend talk, Trace, with you and everybody else right now. I have to tell you, I've been meeting with all of the experts, whether it's on Zoom or in person, and kind of trying to put the schedule together for the rest of the year. And just so you know, Traci has done like yeoman's work. She has been awesome about getting this whole thing started, Sex After Breast Cancer Live. But in a couple of weeks after the couples edition next week, Traci gets to go on vacation. So we're going to start bringing in some other experts just to teach you about different things and how it may be impacting your life after a breast cancer diagnosis. So I'm super excited about that. Ladies, we have like, there's like 29 experts now, I think. Just when I say that word, I just think, how have we been so lucky to attract so many professionals that want to share their expertise with us? It's lovely. It's just really, really lovely. So I'm very excited about that. So I'll be keeping you posted about that. All of those will be at the same time, the same time on Thursdays, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, but I think we're probably going to be doing some other lives in the group along the way. So just keep your eyes peeled. I'll let you know about all of it. So that's great.
We're moving and grooving it on.
It's exciting. It's super exciting. Now, if you're the type that is a busy bee, which who the heck isn't, I want to remind you that I have a text service. You can text SABC Live, that's Sex After Breast Cancer Live, right, to this phone number behind me, which is 602-704-5351. And if you do that, what will happen is I'll be able to send you texts on the day of any of the lives to remind you, hey, come join us live, get into the conversation, and I'll also give you like a 15-minute warning. So I just wanted to let you know that that's available. Okay, now I'm going off our script, Trace. I'm going to just talk to the girls about my estrogen experience of the last week.
Okay.
I'm going to get real now. You guys
drive it home.
Well, let me just tell you. So I started vaginal estrogen. Here, wait. Here's the box. Here's what you get. You get this. Can you see it? It looks like a pencil, but it's got a plunger on this side and it's got a little tiny pill stuck in the end of it here. So this is to go up your vajayjay. Well, that's really exciting for somebody that's had severe vaginal atrophy that was diagnosed at least 3 years ago. And, I honestly couldn't even get this in my vagina, which was very interesting until I realized, oh, what if I flex that muscle? And all of a sudden it opened up. I have atrophy, but I also have pelvic floor issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a problem in that some of my organs are pushing on my vaginal cavity, which didn't let me get this in there. Hello. So I got all kinds of things going on. So I did, my gynae said, who's one of our experts, said, why don't you do it for 14 days straight? Let's get it a little jump start and everything. So then maybe it was, I guess it was Saturday or Sunday, Sunday, I guess. Greg James walked in here and sat down and he said, we have to have a talk. And you never want to hear that. And, I'm like, oh no, here it comes. He said, so I figured something out. When you cried the other day because your computer wasn't working well? Yeah. And he said, and do you remember when you yelled at me in the parking lot at the grocery store? Yeah. He said, it's the estrogen. You're a 13-year-old. You're having a change of life. And you know what? He's right. I was like overdosing on estrogen. My body literally doing that fast track start that my gynae asked me to do was too much for me. So I was like, holy guacamole, because I really was out of whack. My mind felt like I was racing. It was racing, I just felt jittery. And I realized after he said that, oh my gosh, it is. And he said, just much like a 13-year-old who doesn't understand the body changes that they're going through, that was me for sure. And so I actually texted Chris that night and said, hey, I'm going to pull back. I've been super emotional and jittery and all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to go on the 2 times a week plan starting on day 8. She said, perfect. Dr. Jan here, like I'm telling her, she's not the boss of me. So there you go. Anyway, so just as you're doing vaginal estrogen, just be aware that like I have been, I'm going to be 63 next week. I'm just telling you, you need to like be aware of kind of the shock your body might go through to have estrogen in it again. And you may handle it perfectly fine, but if you do get emotional, it's just part of the program. So anyway, okay, that's all I got for you.
You know what I want to say? Can I just piggyback on that?
Of course you can, my girl.
So I think that's one of the drive homes that I kind of wanted to talk about today, because, we find something that works good for me, right? Like my body does really good with this. And so we put it out for everybody. Mm-hmm. But what's good for my body, like I can line 10 women up, right, give them the same exact thing and have potentially 10 different outcomes from it, right? So I think it's always, we need to be aware, like, hey, this worked for me if you want to investigate it, right? But vaginal, and we've had a lot of estrogen conversations, but any type of estrogen replacement is not the right choice for every woman.
That is correct, indeed.
And no drug is the right drug for every blanket person. Mm-hmm. So I think we always need to keep that in mind. It's great to share what works for us, mm-hmm, with the sensitivity that may have a completely different experience for somebody, mm-hmm, else. Exactly. I'm a redhead, so I have weird medication responses just
interesting.
For my redheadedness.
Right.
And so, you talk about opioids, everyone loves their good opioids. And mm-hmm, it terrifies me because my body, right, doesn't respond well to opioids. Right. So
right,
it's just always good to remember what works for one will not necessarily work that well for the next.
Right. And Traci, I'm sure there are new women that are joining us today. So could you go back over, you worked at CTCA for, mm-hmm, 14 years or whatever it was.
I still work for CTCA.
Oh, you do? I can't keep up. Anyway, you do remote.
Yeah, I do. I'm a contract employee, okay, in Atlanta.
Oh, that's right. Oh, from Oklahoma. That's right.
Right. So I telehealth. I'm a telehealther.
Gotcha. So I made a choice based on my situation and a couple of things like I have urethral prolapse.
Yeah.
And so the estrogen, I was told by my gynecologist, would help with both the atrophy
Yes.
and the prolapse. Okay, so that's me. But I really loved the way that you explained how you had worked it out with the doctors at CTCA about what the first line of defense was about atrophy or about vaginal health, let's call it. Can you explain that?
Sure. Well, the first thing is that we intervene soon and hopefully proactively, especially when we're going to put a woman on any kind of AI to treat their cancer for their long-term endocrine therapy, because we know that like makes our parts like the Sahara Desert. So if we can be proactive before a woman begins to have a lot of dryness and go ahead and start treating that, then we're not waiting for a problem to happen and then try to fix it. We're trying to prevent the problem all along.
What a concept.
What a flippin' concept. Who came up with that? So I like to meet with women early in their journey. I like to meet with couples early in the journey because of even the marriage issues that happen, even the relational things that happen, because every part of our life gets touched. Right. There's no stone unturned, right? And the same thing happens for the partners, just in different ways. So proactive marriage support, proactive relational support, proactive body support. Wow. So if we had met each other a while back, maybe you would have already been using some vaginal hydration. So the agreement I made inside of my institution in Tulsa was that we would try all non-hormonal opportunities before we would move to a hormonal opportunity. I mean, it's not that doesn't make sense. And we know that hyaluronic acid, there are studies out there that show us that it has some pretty comparable effect of estrogen if we start early and if we dose routinely. So a lot of the hyaluronic acid products that we've talked about, Hyalogen, Gynotrof, Reverie, they all say for just regular everyday postmenopausal woman with dryness to use it about every 2 to 3 days. What we see in the oncology world is if that woman's had radiation in the pelvis or she's on hormone blocking agents, she may actually need that dosing 3 to 5 times a week. So a lot of times women will try these over-the-counter hyaluronic acid products and follow the directions, and they get a little bit of improvement, but they don't get the improvement that they want, right? So we decide it didn't work. Well, in that woman's body, she may need it more routinely than somebody who's not dealing with breast cancer and medication. Well, so it's really about figuring your body out.
Is that a doctor conversation, or is there a top end usage? Like, can you OD on hyaluronic acid? I don't know how to explain that, but like if you're saying, 2 to 3 times a week, 3 to 5 times a week, whatever, the woman can make a decision to up her number of times that she uses it.
So hyaluronic acid is non-hormonal. So right. It's not going to have a negative impact in her body. Most research fails to identify really any side effects. I mean, there are always going to be those bodies that maybe this product causes them to feel burny or irritated. And so they try a different one, right? That's just bodies. They're just, our chemical makeups have some variety to them. So who's having the conversation? Well, clearly what we know from this group is nobody's having the conversation, right?
Right.
That's the problem. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times when we do go to the doc, if they don't have something that's prescriptive to give you, I feel like they just kind of,
not my lane, right? I've heard that.
It's kind of like the women who have been talking about the different screen creams. Well, there's no research to say it's safe in a breast cancer woman. Well, from a sexual standpoint, it's hard to find much research at all on anything. Mm-hmm. So it just blows me away that we can't open our minds a little bit. Like our boxes are so small that we can't think outside of those boxes. So as a sexuality counselor, in the oncology world and a nurse, that's part of the mission that I have been called to. And like I'm speaking at different podcasts. I'm going to breast cancer symposiums and speaking, right? Like I'm trying to get this word out that we have nurses who are like gold mines, right? And they're willing to talk about sexuality because it's part of the biopsychosocial person that we all are. And of course, that's how nurses are trained, is living within the biology, the sociology, the physiology of that human. So I think nurses are great people for these conversations. And of course, the reason why oncology centers aren't hiring nurses and training them in this way, right?
I don't.
Because they can't get reimbursed to the insurance company for it.
Oh my gosh. Silly insurance.
So
that?
They will pay for a nurse practitioner, right? Like a nurse practitioner can bill for some things, but she's usually not going to go into the counseling piece of it.
Yeah.
Right. She's going to deal with the medical clinical thing. But I'll tell you, nurse practitioners will have a lot more counseling with you usually than the physicians will often do, the oncologists anyway.
So, I found that as well.
I always tell people, find your good nurse, find your nurse practitioner or your nurse in your oncology center, and befriend them, and they will help you in that coordination. But, one of the other questions that I saw this week was talking about what happens if you see a sex counselor or a sex therapist, right? Did you see that one?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, it was late at night when I was reading it. And I'm like, I can't text this long.
Yeah, right. So let's talk about it here.
Because now I'm old. And if I have to text more in a sentence or two, I'm done, right? I'm like, no, just call me.
Right.
So if you came to see me, right? So let's say you're a new diagnosis coming in with your man or your partner, whoever it may be, because it doesn't matter to me. You come in with your committed partner. We're having a conversation. We're just going to start talking about the ways that cancer can impact our lives. And most people don't think about the roles and the responsibilities that we carry in our day-to-day life. Like most couples have some chores that they do and some chores that I do, and we divide and conquer the world. Well, what if suddenly one of us can't do those things? And now the other one's got to pick that up, right? How do we negotiate that out so we don't burn the other person out, so that they maintain some energy? How do we rally our tribe around us to help us in some of those role and responsibilities that get really jumbled up in a diagnosis? So having that conversation, talking about the changes in intimacy, the changes in desire because of what's happening. When we think about desire, a lot of times we want that to be a light switch that we just walk in the room, flip the switch on, we feel all sexy, we go do some sexy, and then we flip the switch off. And it's just not that way. And when women are going through breast cancer, and they're facing body changing surgeries and chemotherapy and losing all my hair, and just helping men know how they can lean into that with their partner, I think is really valuable. So we're going to talk about the things that it's going to depend on where they are, but just kind of finding the story out about you, your partner, what you've both been through, what have been your strengths, before all of this started. How have you solved problems in the past? How did that, what was that general relationship like? Because there's something about a cancer diagnosis that will put a spotlight on any of our trouble spots, right? And so just helping couples be prepared for that is really important. And then talking about the body changes that will happen, giving a woman a voice to really talk through the emotion of losing one or two breasts. Right? That's heavy.
That's big. Yep.
And what if you're premenopausal when you're diagnosed and you haven't had children yet and your fertility's on the line? Do I go get my body pumped full of some hormone so that I can create a bunch of eggs that they can harvest when I have a known hormone positive cancer? Women get put in some really hard decision places And not that I can make a decision for them, but I can certainly be a safe place to talk, right? To just talk it out. And that's what most of us need, is just to hear that safe place out. And so I think that's always the starting place with a couple. So if you see a sex therapist, if it, depending upon their training, that's going to be a lot about relational stuff. Some sex therapists will delve a little bit into the body, but not typically. And I know the ASEC trained sex therapists have some body, management care. So I think it depends on the therapist. As a counselor, ASEC certified sex counselors are usually medically based folks. So that's going to be your nurses, your nurse practitioners, PAs, and physicians. So they'll work in body with crossover to the brain.
That's awesome. No, that's really good. So yeah. So typically when somebody comes in to see you as a couple, I mean, what can they expect as far as, I mean, I know that this is
it's all talk, right?
It's a loaded question. Yeah.
The first visit is primarily just about the provider trying to understand where you're at now, a little bit of where you've been, a little bit of where you might want to be going. And so it's all talk therapy if you see a sex therapist. If you see me, the first visit's always going to be talk therapy. The only time that physicality comes in is if I'm doing like some dilator training and the woman's having trouble. Most of the time I can verbally instruct a woman and verbally and visually instruct a woman on how to do dilation on her own. But again, that doesn't apply to every woman, right? We all bring different things to that. So the only time I have body crossover is when I'm doing some training with men on penile injections, or we're working on vaginal dilation. Those are probably the only times bodies get exposed. And that's what I always want to tell people, because women automatically think, oh, I'm going to see a medical person, off come my pants, right?
Right. Yeah, we're pretty used to that, right?
Yeah.
Numb to it, I think. Yeah.
I almost always tell women, we're all going to stay clothed in this, and this is talk therapy.
Good to know.
And if we need to progress to a physicality part of our care together, we will have discussed that way before, right? And of course, I do telehealth primarily now.
Right.
I still don't really have much issue. I can almost always teach a woman how to do vaginal dilation on her own, so she gets to own it.
Perfect. No, that's great. And you're able to do telehealth, you said, in 34 states. Do I have that right?
34 states.
That's pretty cool. I like it.
Well, to work with CTCA, I work in Atlanta currently, with hopes to get blown up over in Arizona too, at the Phoenix facility.
Let's go. Come on.
The only thing I think about with that is, that is three or four time zones to try to work across.
Well, I feel like that. Yeah. Time zones are not my favorite, because Arizona has that weird, and Hawaii, we're the only two that never change our times, but everybody else does. So we have to keep track of you all, not us. So,
I'm like, can we just all agree on a time and stick with it?
Yeah. Well, let's get to some of our questions.
Okay.
Here's one. This is a woman. There's a product called, is it called Addie? Addie. Oh, just Addie.
Just plain old Addie.
I think it's Addie because there's that extra I, but I'm wrong now. Okay, I've been on Addie for 3 months now and wanted to share my experience since it comes up on here a lot. Addie has changed my marriage. I feel into and wanting sex when I'm aroused. Yay, you. I still don't have the desire, but it doesn't take a lot of effort to get me to want sex. I feel normal again. I know not everyone can take Addie, but I recommend asking about it if you're having challenges with your libido. It's worth a try. I hope this helps. Traci, there were a lot of comments. Women went and did their research and said, gosh, I'm finding a lot of information about side effects. What are the libido solutions that you tend to lean toward?
So we'll talk about Addie and Vyleesi are the two prescriptive, I think Addie was actually kind of marketed as the pink pill or something
Right,
like
or
that.
little pink pill, right?
You know, if you just look at Addie in the research, right? So for this woman, I say, yay, it worked for you. Hallelujah.
That's
Keep
good.
going, right? What research told us, though, and it was only studied in premenopausal women, right? And there's actually a caveat on the, all the pages worth of information that you get about that drug, and it says it's for hyposexual desire disorder, not due to coexisting medical or psychiatric conditions or effects of medication.
Oh, goodness.
Well, what's that mean, right?
Yes.
It is a pill. You do have to take it every day. Some women are not down with that, right? They don't want to take the pill every day. Research told us that women who used it routinely had 0.5 to 1 additional satisfying sexual experiences a month. So I guess if you're having no sex and you get to have sex once a month, right, then that could be better, right? Because at least I'm getting it once a month. But, if you level set the playing field and we're already having sex 2 or 3 times a week, but we want more. I don't know that's, will that play out in the cost? I don't know for women. It does take about 4, I think the packaging tells you 4 to 8 weeks before you get kind of to the max potential of the medication. And so if you haven't noticed any increase in your sense of desire or response, because it's really more of a response than it is a desire trigger. It's a response trigger because it's increasing blood flow is, part of what it's going to help you. No, it's not a blood flower. It's a brainer. Sorry. Thinking of a different drug. Yeah. So if it works for you, hallelujah. But just know that there's a whole lot of women it doesn't work for, and it does have some side effects. They don't want you, I think alcohol is the #1 black box, like no alcohol with it. And so that if it's a daily dosing pill, that's kind of, keeping you to having no alcohol, and that can be a deal breaker for some folks. But hypotension, so a quick dropping of your blood pressure, usually like if you stand up or something, is one of the side effects. So low blood pressure, of course, dizziness because your blood pressure is low, I think are the 2 common ones, and a sedating effect. Like it just made some women, I think, feel just kind of, so I don't want to feel sedated while I'm having sex. So, I mean, Addie's there. Again, I think it works for a small percentage of women. I don't know that it works for all women. And insurance doesn't tend to cover that. So a lot of times that's an out-of-pocket. The one thing I do wonder about it, this is sifting through the clouds now. This is not hard-based research, so no one get me. It's a serotonin antagonist. And so what I wonder is for women who have, again, remember, wondering, sifting through the clouds. I wonder if women who have desire issues impacted by an antidepressant, I wonder if that could help that or not. But I don't know. Again, research, right?
Right.
Vyleesi, different type of drug, and it's an injection, like a little sub-Q injection that is more based on when I want it versus a daily dosing of a medication. So some women like that better. And I think the main side effects for that one, I want to say, was nausea, if I'm remembering. But we're really not seeing these drugs perform like we thought or like we wanted them to, right?
Yeah, I have 3 others on my list that were recommended by some of the other experts: Hersynergy, fenugreek, and macaroot. Do you know about any of those?
Well, one of the, I don't know that there's a lot to tell us, yes, those work. I
Okay.
think it's kind of like like I'll talk to women about L-arginine and
Mhm.
L-citrulline, increasing
Yeah.
blood flow. Does that help? So, I mean, there's all kinds of things that work for some women, but there's nothing
Yeah.
that's like a hardcore, this is the way to go,
Right.
because desire just comes from so many different layers inside of us.
Right. I think one of the most interesting things I have learned, I don't know if it's interesting or it makes me mad or whatever, but it takes work to get your sex life back, friends.
Yeah.
It takes dedication. It takes like listen, I was diagnosed in 2012. So
Mhm.
sex was okay for a few years, but
Mhm.
then honestly, when my body was devoid of estrogen and I didn't know what to do about it like I do now, like now I have to dig myself out of the hole.
Yeah.
Right. And so,
Yeah.
like Traci said, if you can get ahead of it, if you're newly diagnosed, by all means, get on some kind of vaginal moisturizing program. We've been talking about those in all of the lives. Try to get ahead of what the drugs or the lack of hormones are going to do to your body, because it's much easier to maintain what you have than to claw your way back from what you've lost. So
Absolutely.
I think I'm finding I'm having to be even as the whatever I am, the builder of this group and the founder of what we're doing and all that. I have to tell you, I'm right in there with you. And it's not easy. I have to be really dedicated. And so I was just looking at the list too, Traci. BHRT, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, is another option for libido. However, it's systemic, right, Traci? That's a systemic estrogen play. So you have to, I'm ER positive, but many of you are ER positive. That's the one that's more questionable as opposed to the topical estrogen in your vagina. So
because systemic, so if it's a bioidentical, it's a pill, it's a shot, that's going all the places. Things that we put in our vaginal area, even vaginal estrogen, we know will initially bump the total estrogen level up, but that usually plateaus and settles in at about the 4th to 6th week. Plus, the level never, when we're using it vaginally as we're directed, never really bumps us out of a menopausal range, right? So we're still in that menopausal range of hormones. So, and we're just now getting to the place, right, where we're saying, okay, for these women. But quite honestly, when we start early with the other things, we don't ever get to the point where we rarely get to the point we need to take that step. So if we don't have to, great. I mean, all the more power to us, right?
Yeah. So yeah, it was hilarious that when I had my gynae appointment, it really was, you guys. I had my gynae appointment about the vaginal estrogen. And so she's writing me the script and everything. And then I said, now, are we having a conversation about BHRT today? And she said, and backstory. I have had a really low libido my whole life. I just have. I mean, maybe when I was 20 to 25, I was okay, but I just have not, that's just not been a thing. And I know for many of you, it's a thing, it's a big thing. But for me, not. And so when Chris said to me, Jan James, you do not want to have vaginal estrogen and BHRT at the same time. Your vagina is broken. And if we put BHRT in you, you won't have anywhere to put it. So I was like, okay, so that's fine. So she was saying that would really, I'm I'm very iffy about BHRT because it's systemic. So I don't know. I just wanted to have the conversation with her. So there we go.
Well, bioidentical hormone is still hormone.
It's
So
hormone.
estrogen is estrogen is estrogen.
Right, exactly. Okay, this next one, Tracy, it says I'm on tamoxifen and Lupron and dealing with the vaginal dryness and atrophy, but I wanted to tell you what I found. I was researching and found a supplement called Membracin, hormone-free, and it works. Speak with your physicians about it. Help me. Do you know about that?
So Membracin has two different forms. Like there's one that's an everyday pill, and I can't remember if it's 1 or 2 pills a day, but it's a pill you have to take every day. There's not, again, a lot of research in it. It's oils, so it's like sea buckthorn.
Thorn, right? Yeah.
Yeah, sea buckthorn and maybe sunflower oil or sunflower oil, I think. And I think it has some hyaluronic acid in it, which again is what we're kind of going for. So I think the cream, might give you some localized impact. There's not a lot of research on Membracin to really support, what it tells us, but that doesn't mean it doesn't work great for some women.
Right, here we go again. We really need more research, don't we? I mean, we need to really, I think
James, they didn't even map out our clitoris until the 90s.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, I think we're adding some experts that are beating that drum as well. So I think that they're actually excited to get our group on their radar because they're hoping that we will help ask for the research or even demand the research from our practitioners. The word has to get out there.
It does. And, quite honestly, from a research standpoint, if you could mobilize the voice of all those people and the participation of all of those people in the group, that would be a great concentration because, within this group, there's all ages, all
Absolutely.
races, all things.
Yeah, no, we're a mighty force altogether. Rachel Rubin, ladies, is the gynecologist. She's the urologist that I just interviewed. And if you saw that interview, it's posted in the Sex After Breast Cancer group. You can search for Rachel Rubin. And it was just 20 minutes and it was just dynamite. But her thinking is that because the medical industry is by and large patriarchal, male dominated, that there's a ton, she knows as a urologist, there's a ton of research and lists of different solutions for men that lose their erection or, need a colostomy. She said it is so uneven. Like there is no female research. And she said, we just have to get out there and start demanding it. So you're going to be hearing some of that from us.
Well, and we still don't even, overall, we don't ever talk about female pleasure.
Right.
Like,
right. Yeah.
Women want pleasure out of their sexuality.
Concept is crazy.
I always, I tell folks routinely, sometimes you have to look at the sex that's available to you. And sometimes the reason we don't have desire for sex is because the sex that's on the table for us is not worth desiring.
Right. That's a whole different.
That's a whole topic in and of itself.
Right. I'm with you. I'm totally with you. Okay, I think we kind of handled this question I learned about Reverie on this site and it works well for me. My breast cancer was hormone positive, both ER and PR. Is hyaluronic acid okay for hormone positive? I looked at the files and said it, but some women, there seems to be a little drumbeat that it is not okay for hormone positive girls, but you say it's
the way I've never found any research that tells me that it is not good for a woman who has breast cancer. I know there's lots of research using hyaluronic acid, and I've never seen anything negative or contrary for a breast cancer woman. I know which the post you're talking about, someone in there was wondering if a product that tricks your body into thinking it's
Right.
estrogen, right? Well, it's not trying to trick your body into thinking it's estrogen. That's not how hyaluronic acid works. So the hyaluronic acid works by allowing the cells to hold more moisture within the individual cell, which of course makes the cell plumper and stronger.
Mhm.
And if all our cells are plumper and stronger, then the tissues are plumper and stronger.
Right.
Also, hyaluronic acid stimulates the growth of epithelial cells, fun words, that line our vaginal canal. So it's helping to stimulate more of those, because once we lose all of our estrogen, our vaginal walls thin, they become less flexible. They have less blood flow in the pelvis, because, you know, all of that is about keeping our bodies ready to grow a baby. And so now our bodies are no longer getting the signal that we're going to grow a baby. So some of the workforce has left the building.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. On top of everything else. All right, girl. All right. Here's a new one. I went to the sexual health gynae today, told me to start taking this. What was it? Wait a minute. I gotta go. Oh,
That was the Rostella.
Rostella.
Yeah,
Right.
that was the blood one.
Yeah.
The blood flow one.
You know what? And let me just read this. Does it help with sex and desire? From some reason, I'm very emotional after this doctor appointment, all the work I have to do to try to get my sex life back. Cancer has taken so much. I keep fighting today. I'm just over it. Man, I feel you, girl. I feel you.
Sorry, I didn't mean to pound your ears there.
No, but you know what? I feel like breast cancer is a stinking thief and has stolen so much from us. So, but we have to fight to get it back. And here's the thing that we're trying to say. You can get it back.
Yes.
Okay, there are solutions.
Yes.
Contrary to what your oncologist may have said or whatever, there are solutions, but you have to be deliberate about it. So what about Rostella, Trace?
So I like Rostella. I like what's in Rostella. It's going to help to stimulate some blood flow in it. Rostella itself, it's made by Bonafide, which is the same group that makes the Reverie. L-arginine, L-citrulline, I think, are the two biggies in that. But you can also just, buy L-arginine, because Rostella, if I remember correctly, is pretty pricey. I want to say it's like 2 pills a day and maybe $50 or $60 a month. So you could probably find an L-arginine kind of supplement less expensive through, some shopping. But I know Argimax, GNC's Argimax has those products, and it's a multivitamin, so you'd have to look at all the things that are in it. But I mean, there are some things out there that we can take, but I think Rostella, again, is one of those that works for some women well, and it doesn't do anything for other women. So
right.
I'm always the girl that says, hey, give it a roll, see what it does.
Right. Ladies, if you don't know, and this is not an ad for anything, but I'm just telling you, because we're no longer on health insurance and we're on that insurance co-op, we have to pay for meds out of pocket. Amazon's prices are ridiculous and low. And who knew that Amazon had a pharmacy? It's relatively new. Like, I'm having to have my doctors get signed up with them, but that's where I got my estrogen. I'm having all of my scripts, sent there now. And the prices are lower than I paid for insurance copay. So it's worth doing. If you go to Amazon and then the pharmacy, you can search for the pricing there. So it's just worth doing. So just a little tip from me. Okay.
You know what you would be surprised to find is when I am working with men and we're working on erectile meds, because most insurances don't pay for the erectile meds either, except for a few diagnoses. I will tell them, ask your pharmacist what the cash price is.
Right.
Because you'd be surprised anytime that the price is more than $35 or something for a prescription, I'll ask them, what's the cash price for that if you don't file my insurance? Because you'd be freaking surprised.
It's a shocker. It's
how much
totally,
less sometimes you will pay for
Yeah.
a med if you cash pay it than if you insurance file it.
you know what, I am on, let me just think what I can tell you about. Okay. Like I am on a blood pressure medication. So this is just, I said this on my video today to the girls. The blood pressure medication is $3.80 for 1 month, but they have a 6-month price, $6 for 6 months.
Hello.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's a little savings, it's a massive savings. It just didn't even seem right to me, but I'm checking all of the meds that we need in our house, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Cash price is the way to go for real. Okay.
And also just another caveat
Yeah.
to that, don't order the 6-month if it's your first time to take the medication.
Indeed, right. But if it's something that you're on,
start with a 30-day of whatever, because sometimes we got to change it. But if it's something you take every day, you've been taking it, you know you're going to be taking it, then
yeah.
Yeah.
So they have 30, I think they have 30, 90, 6-month on most of the things is what I have noticed. So, but check it out. So yeah,
I love
that. You have to register aside from being on your Amazon account in order to order. So just so you know, there's like an extra step. It's like creating a whole nother account for them because they want to ask you about your medical background and what other meds you're taking and all that stuff. So yeah.
Because they have a duty to compare that.
Indeed. Let's talk about Scream Cream. Come on, baby. The question is, I've told my team I'd rather have them prescribe the Scream Cream, but I could get it online. They all said no. So I ordered it from Strut Pharmacy. Do you know about them, Traci?
I did not know about Strut Pharmacy, but I did see that post and I went to look. So the Strut Cream looks fine. I mean, as I've said all along, there's multiple different prescriptions. They're all basically the same. There's little variations in them. I think the biggest variation that you see is with testosterone or without testosterone.
Gotcha.
And testosterone can have a conversion to estrogen in our body. And so I think that's probably where those oncologists are coming from. Oh my God. But if we're using it again in our vaginal region, and let's be real, most of us aren't having like a whole lot of sex every day, that we would be overusing that at all. But I think that's a big thing. And of course, again, if the one without testosterone works well for you, then hot dang, most of them have Viagra in it, and it's all about increasing the blood flow to the clitoris.
Right.
So that it's more sensitive. And if my clitoris is happily engorged with blood and feeling vitalized, that's probably going to give my brain some sexually relevant context, right?
Hello, yes.
And one of the questions somewhere along the way in there, and I can't remember where it was talking about, will that help with my desire? Well, directly impacting the brain desire, no, but context is important. And one of the ladies was talking about how once I get into it, I can get into it. I just don't arrive at the party with desire. And that is very common in women, period, no matter our age, no matter our hormone status. That's just a common thing for women, in that this difference between a spontaneous light switch kind of desire and this responsive desire, meaning with some sexually relevant context. The room is nice, I'm laughing and enjoying and feeling relaxed with my mate, my pain is controlled, my body has energy. With some getting started, some curiosity, most women can then transition into a sense of desire, but we need to feel a little arousal before the desire kicks in. So sometimes I just tell women, just be curious in the moment. And I have to do it. I'm sorry, I keep slapping that. I have to do that for myself in true confession, like you do, Jan. I have to be in true confession.
Mhm.
I need a little bit of something
Right.
already started to get my brain playing along.
Hmm. I'm with you, girl. I totally understand that. So that's good. Okay. I just lost my screen. Just 1 second.
I think we plowed through those.
Yeah, we're getting through them pretty good. We had a couple more.
Okay.
Just quickly about intimacy melts with CBD from Foria. Those are all natural CBD suppositories to
Mhm.
help you go deeper by enhancing pleasure and increasing relaxation. I
Mhm.
know that people are sometimes reluctant about CBD, but what is your thought about that?
For some women, that helps relax their pelvis and
Mm,
makes them feel better. There's actually even some research going on about THC for women who have chronic pelvic issues of helping to relax. We use Valium. We've used
wow.
vaginal Valium for women who have these
Goodness.
really tight pelvises. So again, if it works for you, I really like Foria. I like their products. I feel like they're kind of pricey,
Hmm.
but if they work for you, right,
Right. Yeah.
use them.
Interesting. If you guys want to search for that post, let's see. The poster said these are magical. I don't have a problem with orgasm, but after using this one product, I bet the others are amazing. And wow, zero pain. I haven't had good sex like that in a very long time. Worth every single penny. Highly recommend. I know a couple of others have recommended it, and I'm so happy I tried it. So that's another success story. I am doing podcasts for success stories. I would love to talk to you. Reach out to me. I'd like to hear if you're, I mean, that takes a little bravery because you're telling your story, but I think our women need to know that there is hope at the other end
Right.
of all this. So
Right.
yeah.
And when we hear, I think it's easy to try one product or two products and decide that nothing will work for me.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
You get frustrated in the
Discouraging, sure.
endeavor. And of course you do, right? Of course you do.
Yeah.
I've had that same in searching for my own answers. I have my times of frustration. So, I mean, I feel that, but if you can keep saying, I'm trying to find what works for my body, my healing,
Right.
then that gives you permission to search beyond that one or two thing.
Right. So that's awesome. Okay. Here's another question. My lady doc has mentioned testosterone for me. She says I'd take a supplement with it to keep my body from converting it to estrogen. Have you heard of anything like this? She suggested it would help with my night sweats, sleep disturbances, and joint pain.
I'd love to know what that supplement was. Just in my own kind of thinking, I'm wondering, is that like a, you know, the only thing I can think of that I ever remember reading was something about a nettle root that could help as a supplement, help with that. But I'm sure that there are several. We need a good naturopath for that answer. I'd love to know what the supplement was though. So whoever wrote that, I'd love to know more about that supplement that can help that.
Yeah, so she's on the call, but
Good.
if she can post on the post, we will get back to that, and we can always talk about that next week as well.
Yeah.
Okay, and then one more. We've been together 10 years. Cancer happened to us 1 year ago. It's obviously affected our intimacy. We've had sex a lot. I can't say often, but he just told me last night he wants to date other people, and I feel terrible. I feel like it's because I don't have real breasts or nipples or hair. It's because I'm not feminine enough. I'm not good enough. It hurts. Yeah.
Again, just an arrow, right?
Right.
And so
Ouch.
the thing I want to say in that scenario is, that's a whole grass is greener somewhere else. And that means that something's not happening there that's having him decide he needs to go elsewhere. And that's definitely working with a counselor, I think, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot she's holding and there's a lot they're not saying in that. And unfortunately, that's pretty common. But 10 years, right? 10 years of an investment. And of course, the breast cancer came along, what role did that play? Did he just get overwhelmed in it? Did he get afraid in that? What happened in that? But of course, my heart hurts. And every time I read those, I'm like, man, I wish I had her phone number so I could just give her a buzz and like give her a big old Traci all in hug.
I know.
And then, if that opening your relationship because your needs aren't getting met in your current relationship rarely kind of works out for folks. Like they've been together 10 years. That's a committed relationship. So that would be opening our marriage or our committed relationship up, which, for some people that's their thing. And I, of course, never yuck a yum, but when we're doing it because our needs aren't being met, that usually is not necessarily the same thing as just curiosity of what it'd be like to be with someone else.
Well, I just want to give you a little encouragement, Trace. In the chat, one of our girls said, "Thank you. I use nothing. I'm afraid, but I will after watching."
Thank you.
Yeah. So that is, thank you very much for letting us know that, because I was out. I'm going to get teary-eyed now.
And if you do, I'll cry because I know.
Let's all cry for a moment, right, about what we've lost. But I was out with a couple of our experts at lunch today, and I got teary-eyed about you guys also. I'm so mad about the lives that are being hurt this way, and I'm not going to stop trying to find answers for you guys. And we've got these beautiful experts that are helping, and I'm just really, really grateful that they're willing to put themselves out there. They're spending so much time, you guys, putting all this stuff together for you. So I just want you to know that we're not going to stop. There are answers out there. There is hope for you. You need to know that.
Absolutely.
So don't give up, and
you're worth it.
Yes, come on.
You are worth it.
I know. We're going to
even if you don't have a sexual partner, take care of your body.
Right. And
take care of your body. You're worth it.
Traci, you don't even know this, and I'm letting this out of the bag because I can. Karen Del Maestro, who's one of our contributing experts, is going to do a 5-part video series for you guys that'll probably come out in October on body confidence.
Yeah.
Because I said, we're wrecked. I'm wrecked about it. Wrecked about it. And I just was talking to her as my girlfriend, and she said, no, wait a minute. No. Okay. No. She used to be a personal trainer. She's a certified nutritionist. But she has a lot of counseling training. And so that's going to be really, really great for us to see. Absolutely. So that'll be in October. So just hang on for a few weeks, because I think most of us, after we've gone through surgery and gone through the war that we did, I think that we all feel just beat up. And I think it's time for us to reclaim our bodies and our body image. And, God made you, and, cancer wasn't a surprise to him. So we're going to move along. So anyway.
It's called reclamation in my world. Reclamation. The great reclamation of our life.
We reclaim things here. That's what we do. Right. So anyway, okay, kiddos. Traci, God bless you. Really. Thank you very much.
I love this opportunity.
Oh, it's really wonderful. So ladies, the video's sitting inside the group. It'll be up on podcast in about another week, but all of the podcasts are on the Hope After Breast Cancer podcast. All of the replays in the group are in the guide section. So just remember that. And by all means, start talking to your partner. Get them here next week.
Yay!
That's going to be a really, I think it'll be a very eye-opening session for us. And you know what? You can watch it together anytime you want. It'll be on replay like crazy. So yeah, so it's all good. So appreciate those that could join us live, and to all those that are replaying, hey girl. So Traci, see you next week for couples edition. Okay, bye everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Girlfriend, thank you so much for listening to our podcast. I hope you found some nuggets to encourage you and give you hope. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. You never want to miss an episode, and we'd love to know how we're doing, so please be sure to leave us a review. Until next time, this is Jan James encouraging you to remember there is hope after breast cancer. See you next time.